Greg Kelly here for Colonial Metals Group. They nailed every call on gold's explosive rally, beating the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and even Bitcoin. And now they're warning the next surge is already underway. Get their free gold guide now at freegoldguide.com or call 800-655-5186. That's 800-655-5186. Learn how to move your savings into physical gold, 100% tax-free. freegoldguide.com.
$1 million. Free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fan standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary. U.S. only. Void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
There appear to have been some kind of large gathering overnight. Chicago police confirming that 5 people were shot near 36th Street and Cottage Grove. Officers responded to the area around 1 o'clock this morning, I should say. Police say while they were on scene, officers heard gunshots and moved to the area of gunfire. That's where officers, they say they found multiple victims, and several ambulances and paramedics were called to help those who were shot. The victims' ages range from 17 to 36 years old, and we're told the 17-year-old is in critical condition. Citizen app video from the scene shows a large police presence near Ellis Park as Chicago police investigated. Police say that there were 4 guns that were found in the area, and a person of interest was also taken in for questioning.
Welcome, my friends. Yes, it's Labor Day. It's just a normal weekend in Chicago. Somewhere between 43 and 53 people have been shot over this Labor Day weekend, while Governor Pritzker and the mayor there, Brandon Johnson, have been busy trying to rile up the crowd with no troops in Chicago. No troops in Chicago, of course. They're not in harm's way. It is Labor Day weekend. This is Labor Day. And welcome. Of course, with us to celebrate each and every holiday is the gentleman that runs the HistoryAuthor.com website, HistoryAuthor.com. He's also a mate of mine from the Rush Limbaugh days. He was one of Rush Limbaugh's web producers with the Rush Limbaugh show. He's a columnist. You can find his columns in the New York Sun. You can find his writings all over the internet, and he's also an author himself. Dean Karayanis is here. Happy Labor Day, Dean. How are you?
Thank you. I'm okay. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. If you're stuck in traffic, just keep easy because we're going to take care of you.
Well, why would there be traffic on Labor Day? You mean people heading from the beach, people heading from, yes, all those good things, enjoying, yes. So, Dean, here we are on Labor Day again, and let's first just, for the newcomers to the show, each major holiday, we go through briefly the history of that day and why it is important in this case, why it's a national holiday. So why don't you run us through the specifics of Labor Day, why we are celebrating this day very quickly. Then let's touch on some current news and other things that people may or may not be aware of.
That's something I love to do. I hope everyone else enjoys it as much as I do. I'll do my best. It starts with a forgotten man, Matthew McGuire. I think way back in 1880s, how many Irish immigrants that were coming. They were just starting. This is a generation after the potato famine. So they're becoming integrated. They're taking jobs in public. They're taking jobs in the factories, the public sector, and the police. And so this Matthew McGuire decides, as the secretary of the Central Labor Union, let's get a working man's holiday. Let's get one every year. So New York City, because we have to be first in everything, decides we'll have a parade, and that's the first Labor Day parade. That's in September, on September 5th of 1882. They have the parade, and it's a beautiful story. I wrote about that in the New York Sun in 2022, and it's so different from what we think today. Today we think of a lot of strife, I think, when we think of labor. Those of us maybe who are older think of it that way anyway. Maybe younger people think of it differently. But you think of a lot of strife and fighting, and of course there was between companies and things like the Pinkerton goons going in and breaking up a strike. But this was a really unifying moment in 1882, and you had businesses closing on their own just to show solidarity with the people who were working. 12,000 people parade up Broadway in New York City. It's really a great moment, and it sets the stage for the ones we're enjoying today. It doesn't become a federal holiday until 1894 because Grover Cleveland, who was the Democratic president at the time, he was afraid that Democrats would take heat because they had sent in some of those goons to break up the American Railroad Union strike. And so he said, what can we do really fast to cover up for it? And so he decided, we'll make Labor Day a holiday, but it only applied to federal workers at that time. And eventually things keep going forward, and now we have this 3-day weekend, and you have a lot of people by then who were powerful enough to advocate for it. And we don't even get the 40-day week until 1940. That takes a while. So it's a holiday that I think we tend to overlook because it sounds so generalized, and we're used to labor being a factor. We don't talk about it as much as we did, in part because it's starting to see a little bit of a shift. It's no longer just one of the many parts of a Democratic coalition that gets ignored by everybody. Now it's changing, taking a much more high-profile position, I think, again, in life. People are thinking of it with things like trade and looking at a city like Gary, Indiana, that's all hollowed out. And so that's a bit of the history, and I think it's something that it's good to be able to look at a day like this where you just think it's the end of summer. Maybe you are in traffic. You're only thinking of those barbecues, those of us who eat meat. And you're enjoying it, and you forget that this was a holiday for people that didn't have ever that option. That a 3-day weekend was a big deal for them.
Well, let me tell you something. By the way, just so you know, vegans and vegetarians also barbecue. We just barbecue different things.
Are you
just FYI?
Are you covered under those laws against burning leaves in your backyard? Is that the same?
You know what? I don't know. You're thinking California or some other place. No, actually that is in other Democrat strongholds. No, I'm not. And I think that we would, one of these days, if it comes down to people, and they tried to ban people from barbecuing at some point or using charcoal, I think it was. In one of these liberal strongholds, if that ever comes up, there are laws that people do ignore. It's civil disobedience in a way, but I'm not that attached to it. Anyway, so let's go back because you mentioned the union. Now, a lot of course, unions still are a significant force. If you look at the national, the various teachers unions, the two biggest ones, the NEA and the National Federation of Teachers with Weingarten. She's out there today ranting and raving, Randy Weingarten. The teachers unions are there, AFL-CIO, not quite the force that it was even in the 1960s and 1970s. But you look at some of the other unions that have totally lost clout, but then you've had a great success with union growth inside the government sector. And that is undergoing some changes, too, right now.
Yeah, and the government, especially since originally there's a quote that I've cited before with FDR, that he didn't believe in government unions because you can't campaign against yourself. You can't go and strike against yourself. And we've seen that so many times since. It's even worse up in Canada, where they can bring the mail, they can bring the airlines to a stop because they just demand what they want. We had it just here with New Jersey Transit in New Jersey, which is also operated with Metro North into New York. And so there is a distinction there between the public and the private unions. And I think that's why we're seeing a shift right now, driven by President Trump's policies, driven by even things as simple as the Hollywood tariff on foreign-made films. You had the Teamsters president going and praising it, speaking at the Republican National Convention, and then Bernie Sanders won't take his calls anymore after that. He said that, not me. And it just seems crazy. You'd think that they would want that, but you would, I guess, be naive to think so. But we're seeing definitely a shift in labor and in who they're supporting, and an overall realignment, because I think a lot of people in labor felt that the unions didn't reflect what they wanted. They didn't reflect the change that the rest of the country underwent. Even last year, there was a huge difference, 2-1, for the two polls the Teamsters took of their members for President Trump. And so the Teamsters decided they just wouldn't recommend anybody. They wouldn't endorse anybody, rather. And they've only done that twice since 1960. So it's definitely a shift. And then you have people acting like jerks, like Bernie Sanders. There's no other way to put it. And a lot of people getting mad at the Teamsters president for going, Sean O'Brien, and speaking at the Republican convention. And that just drives people farther away. And I think that's a theme we're seeing right now in politics.
Well, there are a lot of things that we're seeing. I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. Come back. When I get back, I want to speak with you about a few things. You have a column today, by the way, over the weekend. And I have to say, I very rarely miss stories, Dean. But yesterday, I decided I'm just going to take a day. I just needed to recharge. So lo and behold, I get back in the news, and I'm hearing about all this business about the viral death rumor of Donald Trump. And you wrote a column about that, about the things going on, that what happened over the weekend, which was just, to me, unbelievable. That this thing, apparently it was a big to-do all day on social media with rumors floating around about the president. So when we get back, we'll talk about that. We've got some other things. And speaking of labor, New York Times has written an article, published an article about black women. They are among the hardest hit. Black women, hardest hit, as the federal government reduces its workforce under Donald Trump. And so we've got a bunch of things to talk about. Let's check in. The fastest hour in American media. Happy Labor Day. Stay with us.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Larry Kudlow here for Colonial Metals Group. Ask yourself, is your retirement protected? Gold is the one asset that's surged through every war and economic shock. Please call 800-621-3908. That's 800-621-3908. Or just visit freegoldguide.com to claim your free 2025 Gold Guide. You'll learn how to protect your IRA or 401k and could qualify for up to $7,500 in free silver. That's freegoldguide.com.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
If you're planning a road trip this holiday weekend, gas prices at their lowest level for a Labor Day weekend in years. In some states, they are below $3 a gallon. Matt Egan is here with the good news. We have to say goodbye to summer, but we're going to do it and save some cash.
That's right, Erica. Look, you are in luck if you're hitting the roads this holiday weekend. Gas Buddy is projecting the national average this Labor Day, $3.15 a gallon. That's the lowest since 2020. Of course, back then the roads were pretty empty.
James Golden, Snerdley with you here. With me, the one, the only Dean Karayanis, historyauthor.com, New York Sun columnist, author. And you have a column today about this thing, this rumor, Dean, that took the social media by storm.
Yeah, weird one.
Leftist glee over Trump is dead rumor bodes ill for the Democrat Party's return to reality. Explain.
Well, one quick thing, Gloria Estefan. I always loved that she made Fidel Castro uncomfortable, didn't like her. But her music was awesome. So what did they do? They only ever referred to her in the country as MSM when they were Miami Sound Machine, because her family had escaped and suffered. And so I always think of that when I hear Gloria Estefan. Happy birthday.
Dean, I did not know that. I don't know how I missed that.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, right?
That's amazing.
That's the only reason to bring on a guest, is if they can tell something. Not to plug books, not to plug movies, not to make campaign speeches. It's to offer details about things like Miami Sound Machine.
I did not know they refuse. So in Cuba, when they refer to the music, they refuse to refer to it as Miami Sound Machine, just MSM, huh?
Yep, because they didn't want to talk about Miami, right? That was a big thorn. The thriving Cuban community in Miami was a thorn in the side to Castro and his. He would give you they give you the bright lights of Miami and the beautiful girls on the beach and Crockett and Tubbs. And what did Castro give you? Either a sentence in prison or a rice cooker. Those were the two extremes.
All right. Well, okay. This rumor. What the hell?
What a bizarre rumor. Really strange. I think anyone can write a story and cite a bunch of the weird things and condemn it and say that it's terrible. But my goal, as I know yours, is always say something different. So I can list some of the things that have happened in the past and just criticize it and wag my finger, but that's not really my job. And so to me, I looked at it from a broader perspective. It's more just the Democrats. They just wish that he would die and they'd be done with him. And they're not going to do the hard work it's going to take to come back.
Wow. Well, of course, this whole thing was exploded when Trump appeared. It got started because they said he hadn't appeared for 2 days, and they off to the races they went in their fantasy land. All right, Dean, hold on. When we get back, let's get some news of the day. There's plenty of stuff happening out here I want to get some of your opinion on and also touch base on, including CBS did it again with their editing. It's just amazing. They didn't learn after the 60 Minutes debacle. We'll be back. James Golden and Snerdley with you here. Happy Labor Day, folks. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Empower. Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads. Race car bobbleheads. Little Chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little. But Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Claptrap here. 2 big things are coming this fall. Borderlands 4 and Spotify Wrapped. So stop listening to that one playlist that reminds you of your ex who only made you cry. Talking about you, Veronica. And pre-order Borderlands 4, coming out September 12th.
Rated mature.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So about the Minnesota shooting, and it brought me right back to Columbine in 1999 when I just could not get it through my head that students in America were shooting each other in schools. And this was a church inside a Catholic school. And what do you know, was a white guy, Republican, MAGA person. What do you know? White supremacist. Hi, everybody. It's Rosie O'Donnell, star of the Flintstones. Listen, I have a cold sore. I know. Happens. Get run down, you know. Anyway, I know a lot of you were very upset about the video I made before I went away for a few days. I didn't go online and haven't seen them till today. But you are right. I did not do my due diligence before I made that emotional statement. And I said things about the shooter that were incorrect. I assumed, like most shooters, they followed a standard MO and had standard, feelings of NRA-loving kind of gun people. Anyway, the truth is, I messed up, and when you mess up, you fess up. I'm sorry. This is my apology video, and I hope it's enough.
Is it enough? Indeed. Well, I mean, pays attention anyway. Well, anyway, that's Rosie before and after. On this Labor Day, James Golden is here. Dean Karayanis is with us, historyauthor.com. Also, New York Sun. You can check out all his columns there. If you don't get to it on the Sun, go to Apple News. You can read his columns there on Apple News, so many other places. Dean, let's go through a few things. Typically, Labor Day is the beginning of the political season in an election when it goes in earnest, the lead up to the fall elections. This year, 2 governor's races on the table. You've got that race in Virginia and the race in New Jersey. You have any thoughts on either of those, the outcome of those races?
Well, I'm surprised, which again, I shouldn't be so naive anymore, but that Winsome Sears, who's such a attractive candidate as far as everything, but somebody who's done a lot of things. And I miss those kind of candidates, I guess, because I do live in the past and look at history, but they also tend to turn out better than the people who are just working away in school and in the academic room. And we need to look no further than Joe Biden. Nobody would think that he would have, they kept saying he had experience. Well, he was only ever in the Senate. And that's sure, he read a lot of papers about foreign matters when he was on the Foreign Services Committee in the Senate, but it's kind of like reading about sex and having sex doesn't make you have experience. And I just love that she's a good candidate, and I don't understand why more people, even in the conservative media, just seem to have pretty much ignored her. And that's one thing. And of course, in New Jersey, what can we say about Jack Ciattarelli again getting a chance to run? It's he came so close last time, but it was against an incumbent. New Jersey people always tend to dislike whoever our incumbent Democrat is, and it's hard to overthrow them. I'm thinking of going back to the Jim Florio years. And national Republicans ignore the state. They think, well, we're not going to win it. But in recent years, and this is something I've written about at the Sun, it's been trending Republican. We're getting more and more people here that are saying they want to switch and they want to vote for the other party, that they don't like a one-party state, that they're dissatisfied with the ballooning spending. Unfortunately, we had Chris Christie, who didn't do anything to build his party, so it's not much of a choice. But it may be surprising. It's been shifting for a while, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but each time President Trump did better. And I think it goes back to that thing we were talking about a minute ago about just the reality and about how they took solace here in this fantasy that Trump was dead and it would solve all their problems. Their problems go much, much deeper than one man, than Donald Trump. They have negative poll numbers. They're losing overall 4.5 million voters between 2020 and 2024. That's according to L2 data. They checked the 30 states that track partisan voter registration, and in every single one, Democrats have lost ground. And it's because they're not going out there and doing that hard work to be persuasive. They think that they can just motivate people with, we really don't like Donald Trump. And that's certainly possible. There's unlikable things about a lot of people, but being even more unlikable and just thinking that you can insult him out of existence and deny, as Doug Schoen told me, President Clinton's pollster in 96, who I'm friends with, and he said, we went and we worked. We understood that there's talent with a guy like Newt Gingrich. And so we worked with them when we could. We found something, okay, we like it, but let's do it a different way. We like that idea. We think that's a problem, like with crime. So let's look at it our way. These are our solutions. Not this obstinance of just saying no to everything, denying there's even a problem, living in this alternate reality. I think that's a real problem because they're not working with Trump. They're not recognizing, as Doug said to me, he said, I'm a political guy. I could see that Trump has talent. I can see that he's willing to go down with these hard hats that are Teamsters that have probably never cast a single Republican vote out of their family, never mind them, going back 4 generations to those steel mills that were on strike back in Grover Cleveland's day. He said that's a talent. It's an ability. He's somebody that people find likable. They think that he's on their side. They take all the things that makes the Washington establishment clutch their pearls and stroke their beards and say, what are we going to do with this Donald Trump? They love those things about the guy.
Yeah.
And one
thing that I would just want to point out, let's New Jersey for a minute. I don't know. It was a 3-point race last time. We'll see what happens. It looks like that I have an NBC story. Excuse me. And I don't think that they are willing to give Winsome Earl C any undue credit. But one of the things they're saying in the story is that despite the criticism that came her way, privately, publicly, campaign was undisciplined, she shook up her team. She's been more focused on message, and she has learned to even harder try to lean into what Governor Youngkin has accomplished. So the last polling in that race in Virginia, the Roanoke College poll of likely voters, which is important rather than just registered voters, of likely voters, shows 46-39 leads. It's a 6-point game right now, but 14% of the voters there are undecided. So now that, and the poll they did has a 4.3 plus or minus, which means this race in Virginia isn't out. It isn't out of question. And these are the key weeks where it's either going to tighten up or else Spangenberger of this Abigail will be able to, Spangenberger will be able to increase her lead, but it's not, as of this moment, it's not out of reach. And she's making up ground, and this is the critical stage. So I wouldn't throw that one just in the it looks bad race. It could be a competitive contest in Virginia. Your guess, good as mine in New Jersey. I don't know how New Jersey puts up with the candidates that they're offered. I don't understand it. You have a high tax state that is continually frustrating voters and what voters really want out of government, but yet it just seems to be a locked-in blue state, and that's it. I remember when New Jersey was a very competitive state. It was more purple than blue. I don't know. And, of course, there's Chris Christie. So I'll leave it at that, Dean.
Well, the numbers, as I said, I won't read them to you, but there have been encouraging numbers for people that would like to see just a break in the one-party stranglehold that has been on this state and maybe push back on some of these things. And I think part of it is education. Part of it is being, as Benjamin Franklin called New Jersey, keg tapped at both ends. People are paying attention to Philly. They're paying attention to New York. And it's really hard to get people to pay attention to the local politics.
A keg tapped at both ends. That's a really great say. Okay, I want to rapidly get through a few things to get your opinion on. Carlos, let's first, this one goes by first quick, folks, because we're only playing the end of the interview the way that it was capped off by the moderator on Face the Nation. Cut one, Carlos, and then we'll go to the next one.
And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America.
That's the way the interview, talking about Mr. Garcia Abrego. Now, this is what was left out of that sentence. This is the entire sentence from Kristi Noem. Cut two.
This individual was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors, and even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him to justice.
Dean, what sense does it make to edit out her description of Kilmar Abrego Garcia? This is CBS. This is Face the Nation. Would you expect more?
Well, this is my third time saying, I guess it would be that if I said I was naive. So I guess by now I just expect it. But I can't imagine doing it. I just can't imagine the whole idea of just grabbing onto it because you've been told we must protect this person at all costs. It's a person that's really good for us politically, and never adjusting, never realizing if fellow human traffickers are saying this guy's no good and told him to knock it off, maybe that's when you distance yourself from him. At least you don't have to play that bite at all. You could just not talk about it. And I think this is something that deals with that living in reality theme, because people don't realize they're not getting their news just from you, CBS, anymore. They can go on the internet. They can see the whole interview. They can hear everything, and they're going to call you out on it. And
it's just absurd.
They think you'll buy that you won't look into it.
And then Donald Trump had another dust up with Donna Brazile, which I don't even have time to get into today. And the fact that Donna Brazile, and I met Donna Brazile before. I've had some interesting conversations with Donna Brazile many, many years ago. But the fact that she's, after admitting what she did in the Hillary debate, that they're still going to her is just stunning to me. But, okay. Let me move on. I got some names to run by you, Dean, because time is short. We got to head out of here soon, the fastest hour in American media. There is The Hill today. It has ranking for the Democrat contenders for the presidential race in 2008. Now, once we get past the midterm elections, once we get past this, next Labor Day, Dean, we're going to be talking presidential. It's going to start to dominate the news cycle. You know that. So here's what they think, and just give me very quickly what you think about each name. I guess I should start from the bottom of the list, and there are a few. Bottom of the list, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. He's number 10 ranked potential Democrat presidential in 2028. What do you think?
All I ever hear is how much people like him. I'd like to see it get tested. And I'm not so sure that he can convert that. I mean, I think there's too many guys who are too well known, if we're even going to talk about 28 this far out, for somebody who's really a newbie to emerge, but we'll see.
Chris Murphy, Connecticut.
Nobody wants a president from Connecticut, I don't think. And I'm talking about the party. I mean, he's going to raise a little bit of money in the tri-state area. But when you think of Connecticut, I just don't think that's what Democratic voters are going for. I don't know if J.B. Pritzker is on this list, but there's another guy for similar reasons. I don't think they're going to buy no, shoot all the other billionaires, but not me, so to speak. Only
Number 8. Number 8 on the list, Governor Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania.
He seems much more interesting, but I don't know if he can get the nomination considering all the anti-Semitism we've seen exploding on the left. I know it was the conventional wisdom that's why Kamala Harris didn't pick him, but it seems like that could be hurting him. And then I think the most attractive guy there from that state, probably the sanest one they have against all odds as far as who makes sense as a sane pick, is John Fetterman. And he can't pick him. He's in there, and I don't think he'd want to take him out.
Number 7, former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Well, we know he didn't do a particularly great job when he was in there, and we know
Carlos is shaking his head no. Mention of his name, no. He didn't do a great job when he was in there, so do you think he has a shot?
I don't think so. I think he'll get a better cabinet position should the Democrat win, but that's about it.
Number 6, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
I don't get Gretchen Whitmer. If it's about the records, and as I was saying earlier, it's usually not about the records as much as we might like it to be. It's a lot of the people who just jump in. I don't see the skills and the life story that she brings to it. And I don't think she's really telegenic. I think that picture,
You don't think she's telegenic?
I don't really.
Okay.
I think old pictures maybe are, but, I guess you age in office. Do people really want to watch? Somebody asked that once, a woman age in office.
That was Rush asking the question about Hillary Clinton. Okay, number 5, Pritzker, but you've already answered Pritzker, so in the interest of time, we move on. Number 3. Oh, no. Okay, number 4. I'm sorry, we were about to skip over Maryland's Governor Wes Moore.
Yeah, he's interesting because he seems to be doing what I was saying that Doug Jones said, willing to say, yes, we think crime's a problem. We'd welcome some federal help, not denying outright. How can you deny crime's a problem in Baltimore? Not citing the trend, saying it's down. He seems like, but I don't know if he has the overall political skills, but they clearly really want him, and I think he could be an attractive candidate for them because he comes from a place that's going to be able to raise a lot of money, more so than Connecticut, I would say.
Number 3, Kamala.
I don't think that they're going to want her again. I can't see that they would. I started to write a column about how she was following a little bit of the Nixon route back to the presidency, but I don't think so. I think she was so contrived. I think Biden really, gave her a hard time, let's say, because I don't want to use a screwed term. But
okay, then fine. Let's move on to number 2 then. Who do you think would be number 2? Quickly, who do you think the number 2 person is?
On this list, this isn't based on polling, though, right?
Carlos said, Carlos just, and he hasn't seen the article. Carlos just said, number 2 on the list has to be AOC. Number 2 on the list, AOC. What do you think, Dean?
I think if you want someone who will win a bunch of primaries, probably she could make a lot of noise there, but I can't imagine her managing to get enough votes to be elected president. Maybe she wants to be vice president, but I think she is going to be like leaving something out. I think what do they say about politicians and fish? They start to stink. I think she's going to have a really hard time having staying power because she's wide, but she's not that deep as far as the intellect and ability. And I think a lot of things like pretending she was from the mean streets of the Bronx when she grew up in Westchester, a lot more of that will come out if she's under that spotlight. She should run for Senate or stay where she is.
All right, we got to take a break. I'm just going to give me 2 words to describe the number 1 choice, or 3. Gavin Newsom.
Gross. I think that's
gross. He's number 1. We got to take a break. Dean, we'll let you go here. Thank you so much for staying with us and hanging out with us this Labor Day.
Hey, thank you. Invite me back anytime, and happy Labor Day, everybody. Enjoy your rest.
James Golden, Snerdley. Labor Day. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Talk about stepping up. It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, folks, that's it. We got to go. May God bless all of you. God willing, back tomorrow. Keep it right here. Don't go away.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Proton therapy is a cutting-edge cancer treatment that precisely targets tumors without affecting healthy tissue and organs. That means fewer side effects, better outcomes, and new hope for even the most complex cancer cases. And in New York State, it's only available at the New York Proton Center. Visit nyproton.com to learn more about proton therapy and request a consultation. The New York Proton Center. Precisely revolutionary cancer care.